Hello everybody, it's me GhostCritic and it's time for a Sunday comic book review video. I got quite a few books to get through today and I'm hoping that this will warm me up because that beast from the east is back again, dropping temperatures. I finally put the heating on, trying to warm myself up, and hopefully these comic books will help along the way. Let's not forget this is a review video, so spoilers abound. If you've not read any of the titles I'm going to raise aloft, then please stop the video, go and run off and read the issue, or just come back and fast forward it and go on to the next one. It's up to you. You have been warned. And we're going to kick off, as we always do, with the least entertained and work our way up to most entertained and my pick of the week. And right at the bottom of the pile, I'm afraid, is XMen Blue, issue number 23, written by Cullen Bunn. And the reason for this is, you will have heard if you've watched my Wednesday's New Comic Book Day video, which I show you everything that I've picked up on that day. XMen Blue has been linked to the Venom series, and they've been doing Poison X, and the story has crossed over between the titles, and we had the latest part in the last issue of this, and now that's it. I'm not going to find out the conclusion of that storyline, I feel. I don't think it's going to be really addressed again in this title, so I haven't got a clue how it is all going to end. And we have the start of a new storyline here. I think it was called Cry Havoc. And this is centering on the X-Men that are left on Earth while the rest are still star hopping around the galaxies and universe of the Marvel Universe. So we've got predominantly, and I say predominantly because this has got a hell of a lot of storylines going through, but as you can see from the cover, it's meant to be focused on Jimmy Hudson, who is the son of Wolverine in the Marvel Ultimate Universe, and we have Bloodstorm, the a multiversal type character that's based on Storm, but she's also vampiric, and they're kind of two characters that I'm not particularly interested in. I mean, Jimmy Hudson more so, and I just thought this would be an issue where we could kind of flesh out their characters a little bit, make me like them or be more invested in them a little bit more. But that wasn't to be. They're off. This is the problem with this book, because there are so many storylines being addressed here. Some I'm not really aware of. I don't know if they're happening in other X titles, but it's all just a bit of a mess that's all conjoining and coming apparently together. I don't know, but they run off on an adventure, the two of them. I don't know if this is like a Cerebro has found some mutant that we don't know, but spoilers, they come across Zorn. Zorn is, well, this is the complicated thing, because we've had many kind of iterations of Zorn, who was hiding out as Magneto, and then the real Zorn came along, and then there's a Zorn with a Z, if I remember rightly. I don't know what the big implication is, him being kind of revealed here. I don't know whether he's a baddie or a goodie, or just trying to live his life on his own and doesn't want to be bothered. Along the way we get snippets of the Hellfire Club. They're kind of coming together and are going to cause mayhem, I guess. And again, another complication that I'm not sure what is going on here. You've got Emma, the White Queen, and I'm still not sure whether she's a goodie or a baddie. It feels like she's kind of a double agent between the Hellfire Club, as she's having this kind of telepathic conversation with Havoc. And again, is he a goodie or is he a baddie? Which is quite strange because I'm reading back issues of X Factor, the first volume, at the moment, and it's towards the end of the run where Havoc is kind of a baddie and is the villain of the piece. And I don't know if this is still a kind of a part of that, what happened back then. It's very confusing. And on top of that, you have the home base. You have those group of kind of ninja mutant types things in Madripoor, and they try and get into the X-Men's base where Magneto and Lorna Polaris are in. They are, although they're trying to infiltrate it, they are kind of welcomed in, and Lorna kind of gets babysitting duties. But then they add another thing on top of that, where some piece of jewellery that was for Jean Grey is found by one of their kind of robot butlers, and it turns Lorna into the Malice character. Again, is this the Malice from the Fantastic Four that turned Sue Storm into a villain for a while? There's too much going on in this book, and it's just so small snippets, and I don't know, and to me, it doesn't feel like they've been addressed in this title, which makes me think it's in other X titles or other Marvel books, and it just leaves me a little bit wanting and more than confused. Next up, it's The Flash, issue number 42 from Joshua Williamson, steering this perfect storm storyline closer and closer to the Flash War that's fast approaching. And while the story is good, although it is talk, there's moments of action going through here, but oh my god, is there a lot of exposition going on here. There are a lot of people having a lot of talks and chats and over explaining things that it does feel a bit tiresome having to kind of get to the fun, exciting bits. And on top of that, I don't think the artist that we've got on here at the moment, Dan Panasian, is the best. There's just something off about it. It just feels a little bit too, it's not up to par for a Flash comic. I know he's not like one of the holy trinity of DC, but he is a member of the Justice League. He is a big character and well beloved by many of DC fans. And I just think he deserves a better artist than we have on here. This is the usual storyline of the superhero who is meant to kind of be doing good, looking after everyone, but kind of deep down they're only looking out for themselves. And Barry is still very troubled about losing his Flash powers. And although, you know, he's kind of handed the mantle of the Flash on to Wally West, whether he wants that or not, there is still in the back of his mind, Barry's mind, that, you know, what is he going to do with his life now he doesn't have the Flash powers? And so he's got Godspeed, the kind of villainish type character, looking for redemption, or is he letting him loose out of Iron Heights to help out the team and hopefully take down Grodd and Ragin and Mina, the whole kind of villainous team that's going on here. But deep down he just wants his powers back. It's not for him being just a regular human. He feels like he's the only one that can save Central City, and you know, the others are doing an admirable job, and perhaps working together they could have taken down Grodd, but Barry is under the impression that he is the only one, and that's going to come from using the lightning rod that they stole to stop Grodd, using, you know, taking over and coming up to full power. And he thinks that if he uses the lightning rod, he'll get his powers back. And indeed, by the end of this issue, he does. But the turn of events on this is Grodd has been waiting for this to happen. He kind of foresees the hubris of Barry Allen wanting just his powers back. And it kind of, I don't know whether they've gone like in the future, or the effects of him getting his powers back has kind of destroyed Central City, because it looks a bit of a mess now, but at the same time it's turned everyone, all the Flashes, into slaves of Grodd. So our Barry Allen is going to have to basically take on his friends, despite them all saying don't do it, don't do it. And it's just, oh come on, we've had this kind of story before. We're really going to go down this pathway, which is a shame, but maybe there's some twists and turns to come from Joshua Williamson. He's done a fine enough job so far. And it's kept me reading. I'm still picking it up. It's one of the few DC books that I'm now picking up. So he's doing something. He's engaging me in some respects. Bottom line is, I think this book demands a better artist. We're back to Marvel again, and we're back to an X title again. It's Astonishing XMen, this 12-issue maxi series from Charles Soule. This being the second part of this 12-issue run, A Man Called X. And at the end of the last issue, we saw X, this kind of younger, supposedly younger version of Charles Xavier, and Psylocke morphed together as kind of one mutant type, crazy, mixed up, horrible kind of character, and you see it there, trying to separate each other from them. So it's up to the X-Men to do their best. They know this is kind of Proteus's powers, and the only thing that really is affected by it is metal. So it's up to who have we got? Obviously Wolverine with his adamantium claws, using them to drag Xavier out, because he thinks by kind of stabbing him in the chest and pulling him out, because this is where it kind of gets a little bit complicated. This younger version of Charles Xavier is using Phantom X's body, and Phantom X has healing properties, so he thinks, oh, it's fine, we can stab him and pull him out using the adamantium metal. We've also got what's he called? Is it I think he calls himself Archangel now. Warren, as there must be a picture of him somewhere. There's a little bit down there. He goes in after Betsy, using his kind of metal kind of feathers off his wings to distract the kind of Proteus blob thing. And it's all fun, it's all action-packed, it's entertaining enough. The second half of this book deals with Proteus himself, who has absconded up to Scotland, to a small kind of quiet village, and he is going to start experimenting with his powers. And so he builds a huge kind of wall all the way around this village, and he promises all the villagers within that kind of compound now everything their hearts desires, and of course that doesn't always go well, because some people might want things that belong to other people, and basically by the end of this issue lots of mayhem starts happening, and we have Mystique and I think it's Gambit looking on and wondering how the hell they're going to rectify this situation. I feel the second half of this book isn't as exciting as the first half that we had with the Shadow King, and again it's the artists. I mean, this is serviceable enough. We have the artist, what's his name, Matteo Buffagini. We'll go with that. He's doing like an admirable enough job on here, but it just feels like they've used, again, like they do on these, where it's like rotating different artists on every issue. They've used all the good people right at the beginning instead of mixing it all up, so like the end series part of the book, it doesn't feel less than, you know, its early beginnings. But it's only a 12-issue maxi series. I'm going to run this out to the end, obviously. I love the team. It's a great team that we've got here. It'd be great to see them go on into another title, and perhaps maybe I would pick that up. But I think this is just a one-and-done deal from Charles Soule. But we'll see how this ends. I'm sure it'll be fun, at least till the end. Spectacular Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 301 from Marvel, written by Chip Zdarsky. And I'm still a bit confused about this whole time travel stint that started in this new storyline, Amazing Fantasy. We had a little bit of chat, certainly in the comments, and people were telling me, or trying to explain to me, this whole idea that, you know, they've used this Doom's time platform, but the whole thing is that whatever they do, or they can't change things when they go to the past. Whatever they do has no effect, and the whole reason I was explained to is that they're going back to find kind of like the Tinkerer's notes, which will hopefully stop or have some clue or answers to stop what's going on in the present with this alien invasion. And as fun as this was and what goes on in it all, it still confuses me because they are doing some heavy duty craziness. Our present day Peter Parker goes and meets his younger version, teams up with him, goes around and, you know, takes down all these villains in a lot shorter time, because obviously Peter of the present is a lot more proficient with his skills now. He's faster, you know, he takes down Doc Ock. He what else does he do? There's he takes down the Green Goblin and reveals it's the Osborn family. And you just think, well, how can he be doing all this? Surely these are going to have repercussions in the future. And it's not just him that's messing around with time, as the old version of J. Jonah Jameson goes in to meet his younger version at the Daily Bugle. And it is kind of a sweet moment for J.J. Jameson, because he's kind of feels bad now of all the stuff he did in the past, kind of persecuting Spider-Man. Now he knows that it was Peter Parker, and he reveals all this information to his younger self, and it just doesn't make a great deal of sense. We have Peter's half-sister go and visit the younger version of Nick Fury, and reveals to him that she really does believe that she's the daughter of Richard and Mary Parker, which makes her, you know, at least a half-sister. Well, no, not even a half-sister. It makes her definitely the sister of Peter. I don't get it. Like I said, it was incredibly fun to read and watching kind of our present day heroes mess around in kind of like the past of Peter Parker. But it's just so confusing. What is what? The art style here by Joe Quinones. It's kind of okay. I don't know what to say. At first, when I saw that, especially that page, it gave me a kind of Ulrich vibe on there. It kind of, I don't know whether it was just trying to mimic the past, you know, the 60s of that time. But it was just a bit odd at times. But I liked it. That, you know, there's some, like I said, showed that Doc Ock page, some nice paneling and layouts going on there. I just still don't get this whole time travel business, and nothing they do is affected to the future, their present. Someone explain it to me. I'm thick. Here we go with issue 222 of The Punisher from new writer Matthew Rosenberg on this title. And this is the over-the-top, crazy-ass Punisher Frank Castle violence that I love. Oh, goodness. This was just so over-the-top and ridiculous, but a hell of a lot of fun. Wonderfully illustrated by artist Guia Villanova, with Lee Lowridge on colours. But we've got this kind of dictator leader Petrov. He's brought all his army together and giving them all a kind of rallying speech. And what does Frank Castle do? He's obviously still in the War Machine get up. He drops a big tank right in the middle and crushes, you know, tens of his army. Just, you know, I'll just throw a tank on top of it, and then he just goes around shooting, you know, bombs, missiles, guns, firing left, right and centre, and basically decimating this huge army basically on his own. Then you get his kind of Petrov's army of Iron Men, and completely destroys those two in just the most great, inventive, ultra-violent ways. And just as he's getting to Petrov, what happens? Well, he does have nuclear weapons, and yes, he has just set one off. And so it's up to the Punisher to basically not screw this up and make sure that nuclear weapon does not go off. It is high octane action all the way, and it's what I wanted from my Punisher title. Love this book. I said on Wednesday's video that it was kind of, is this particular storyline ever going to end? Are we going to move on from this? Oh, with this issue I'm glad it didn't, because it was fantastically violent and just bloody and gunny and bomby and missile-y and nuclear-y and all those rees. Just a fantastic fun book to read. Next up, Tom King and Mitch Gerard bring out another issue of this 12-issue maxi series, Mr. Miracle. We're up to issue number 12, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with this book. There really isn't. A fantastic cover there. I love that kind of Kirby-esque look at some of the villains of Apocalypse, the planet. But it's inside where the story is so strong and so emotionally balanced. Tom King really knows how not to be too far to the humorous, too far the other way to the over-emotional, and just has the book dealing with Barda's birth of her new child, as they take the trip to the hospital, and the dealings of how I guess a god or a new god deals with childbirth, and how that all happens in the human realm, because this is a first for these kind of new gods, in that a child of a new god is going to be born on Earth. So we have all these characters that come from Apocalypse, so they are all villains. They're all waiting outside in a kind of waiting room, waiting for, you know, information about how their kind of sister is getting on. and that's where the kind of almost kind of humorous side comes from it, but there's kind of elements of darkness going through there. But I'm sure there is 101 Easter eggs going through here. We can dissect every single kind of 9-issue grid and find something that he's doing here. Could be a whole video for this whole series, picking out the little bits, and that in some respects to me kind of ruins the book where people overanalyze it, because this at the kind of root and the base of this, it's a couple dealing with childbirth, you know, and things like, you know, naming their child, but Tom King does it in such a kind of down-to-earth, accessible way in some respects. There's kind of emotional drama in there where they feel where the umbilical cord is wrapped around the baby's throat, and of course it's barda. This isn't just like your general kind of umbilical cord. You can't just cut it with a medical knife, and so they have to use this kind of magic, I guess it's magical, but very sharp new god diamond blade to cut through the umbilical cord. You almost feel as though, oh no, this is going to end up so tragically, and the baby is going to die, and that's where the drama is going to come out of it all. But obviously with the use of this knife, it survives. But then, as always with this book, you never know if what is going on is actually going on. Is this all again just a hallucination as Mr. Miracle, scot-free, lies bleeding to death in a toilet, and that comes from this end bit again. You always get this kind of out of focus, kind of TV screen on the fritz type imaging, and those are the moments you always think, is this Tom King and Mitch Gerads showing us, you know, the unrealness of this, that this is just an illusion, this is just a fevered hallucination. But we'll just have to keep reading until the end. But still a great book. I can imagine this being a fantastic read once it all comes together in what will no doubtedly be a wonderful hardback oversized graphic novel all collected together. But great stuff nonetheless. In the third slot, I guess you could call it, is Doctor Strange issue number 387, written by Donny Cates with art by Henriksen. And what I love about this kind of mini event that's going on, and I am only picking up the main event and this Doctor Strange book, and this is how it's clear this is how Donny Cates and Nick Spencer, because he's helping out on the main series, have worked this storyline to interweave between them. The main story, you get the big all-out action, and you get the huge reveal at the end of the main issue of the main event book. And Doctor Strange title is basically the lead up to that, and then a little bit extra. It's how, you know, in the end of issue 2 of Damnation, you saw Doctor Strange kind of all ghost rided up, and he's been taken over, and he's battling all those kind of lower tier Marvel characters that Wong has brought all together. Here in this issue, we see the lead up to that from what is going on with Doctor Strange. He's been kidnapped, he's in a prison, he's just had his legs smashed to pieces by Thor, who's been taken over by a kind of Ghost Rider essence. And so he's in a prison cell waiting his kind of final comeuppance, and who looks as though they're coming to rescue him, but his old kind of girlfriend, where are we? Clear, right here. And just before that, Wong, in a kind of astral projection, lets Doctor Strange know that, yes, we're coming to rescue you, just hold on. And it's just fantastic stuff. This kind of toying with Stephen Strange as we look further on, as this character Clea apparently brings along some help in the guise of Loki and the Scarlet Witch. Everything looks great, he's going to escape, but of course these characters are not who you think they are, and they are in fact working for Mephisto. But he doesn't see this, he still sees the kind of glamour, the illusion, and what happens is he sees... So at the end of Damnation 2, we see Strange coming down onto the other heroes to fight them, but what we don't know in that issue and what we find out in this issue is that he sees them as demons. He doesn't realise that these are his friends. Mephisto again has put an illusion over Doctor Strange's mind to make them look like demons, so he's fighting against them, and you can see the kind of reveal at the end of the issue. Doctor Strange is actually battling the people who have come to rescue him. Just an amazing book, and I've often kind of felt a bit icky about Henriksen's artwork, but again, you're gonna get a nice double page splash. I think he did this in the last issue as well. You kind of get a catch up if you're not actually reading the main event. It would be strange for you not to be reading the main story if you were picking up Doctor Strange, but there is an element there, you know, the double page splash catches you all up. But I just think this is a great little series that's been going on. Everyone, you know, has been talking about, oh, there's all these tie-ins, and I don't really think you need to read them. Just get the main series and get Doctor Strange, and you are good to go. And it's just been a fantastic read. It's a shame Donny Cates is leaving this title. I think once all this wraps up, we are going to get a new creative team on here, which is such a shame. But it's nice that he's had the chance to kind of boost his own career on a big title such as Doctor Strange, and do a big event at the same time as well, and really do it justice and not just be an event for an event's sake. Just narrowly missing out on the top spot this week is another Chip Zdarsky book. It's the Marvel 2-in-1, The Thing and Human Torch, issue number 4 of the story Fate of the Four, and we are off on our first kind of dimensional time hopping storyline, and wow, this is so good. Oh, it's such a fantastic breath of fresh air. We may only be getting kind of half of the Fantastic Four, but with the addition of this kind of Doctor character, and in kind of instead of kind of Mr. Fantastic, she's kind of super intelligent, and she's kind of got that kind of way about her. You know, we're kind of building up to perhaps a new Fantastic Four with two of the characters. But yes, they're off on their first dimension hopping adventure. The Thing still pretending that Reed and Sue, that he is aware of, that they are actually dead, but to keep Johnny's spirits up, he's kind of made this idea that they're out there and we're going to find them. So they end up on this planet, and people don't seem to take too kindly to the Thing and the Human Torch being here. And they soon, you know, surmise that, yes, they're on an alternate dimension where the Fantastic Four are no more. And through the story, you find out that the Thing, that when Galactus first came to the planet to eat it and destroy it, it didn't happen. The Thing got killed, and it was up to Doom to save the day, but Doom didn't really, you know, kind of help Earth. He basically just took over the Galactus power and became this kind of awesome, huge Galactus villain, Doom character. We meet up with this Dimensions Reed Richards, a kind of shadow of his former self, still trying to put right what went wrong. He's split up from Sue, and it was just action, fun, adventure all the way. You get these versions of She-Hulk and Wolverine thrown into the mix, and it does just feel like those old Marvel comic books of old, these team-up books where they go on these kind of ridiculously over-the-top adventures, and it was just full of entertaining action all the way. You get really absorbed into the adventure. I freaking love this book. It's so good, and to be honest, I'm sure, is it selling greatly? I don't know. Probably not as great as, you know, the big tier Marvel books, but people should be reading this. It is good stuff. And again, Zdarsky not throwing, you know, the complete humour that we know him for in there. There's, you know, some serious, you know, emotional moments in there, and I think Zdarsky is kind of feeling his way to getting the right balance, and he's managed to do that through his work on Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man and here as well. Just fantastic stuff. I hope this book goes on for a long time, but I have a feeling it's a 12-issue maxi series again. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it will lead into a new Fantastic Four book. And so the pick of the week, and I knew the return of this book was going to be good. I didn't realise how good it was going to be. It is the return of A Deadly Class from Image Comics. Rick Remender, Wes Craig and Jordan Boyd. Holy moly, mother of God, this was amazing. I didn't feel that this was going to be a new storyline because we've kind of been dropped right at the end of a huge cliffhanger where all the kind of groups are conjoining in this one town, and I knew there was going to be a huge kind of battle royale going to happen here, but I had no idea how fantastic it was going to be. Fine, I will say this is greatly due to the magnificent coupling of Wes Craig and Jordan Boyd on art. They have done some spectacular pages in here, and I don't just mean kind of like the big spread pages that I mean, that is just amazing. There was another one towards the end there, just fantastic. But there are some other great ones here. We had two of our characters trying to make their way out of a motel room, and you see kind of like their journey trying to escape with all these kind of ninja type characters coming out from all over the place. And again, this was much like the Punisher was this week. It was just like hugely high octane action all the way. While, you know, there was uneasy alliances, there was hope, there was drama, there was excitement. It just takes your breath away, and I was breathless by the end of this issue. The pacing by Rick Remender in this, amazing. Looking back at old characters and their kind of their deaths being a kind of push for these characters that are still alive to seek revenge and all that that crazy stuff. But I was just, oh, what? This is top tier storytelling and art from another level, and I want it to go on and on and on at this level. You know, when you get a book that's doing so well that you know, we are 32 issues in and to me, it has never skipped a beat. It's always been amazing. It's always, you know, either tugged at heartstrings, threw you for a loop, had you heart racing for all the action that's going on in here, and I just don't know how they can keep topping this, but they seem to do. Much like, you know, the Brubaker, Phillips and Brightweiser for their Pulp Fiction-y side, Remender and Craig and Boyd on this book just surprise me and excite me and thrill me with every single issue they bring out. Amazing stuff. I can't recommend this book highly enough. I have from the very beginning. It's just, I know some people have kind of gone off it here and there, but for me, it's just been a stellar run that has to keep going, has to be my pick of pretty much any week that it comes out. It's difficult to top Dead Class. It's got to be a superior book to beat this puppy, but please go out, support this book if you're not already. It's a fine, upstanding Image book that should get way, way, way more attention than it does. And that's my books for this week. I hope you enjoyed all my thoughts and opinions on them. Please, in the comment section down below, let me know what you've been picking up. What has excited you? If you've been picking up any of the books that I have, did you think they should be higher, lower in my ranking order? Give this video a big thumbs up, and just say thank you to everyone who's been subscribing of late. If you're not subscribed yet, join the bandwagon. Get in there, press the red button. Press that little bell thing that notifies you when I put up a new video. Do all that good stuff. I'm here for the long haul. Until next time, I will have a new video out for you very soon. Until then, bye-bye.